What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the RSR Film Room, brought to you up on Russell Street Report over here on Two Guys Watching Football. And we are going to talk left guard. I'm going to spend the next couple of days looking at Ben Powers. Tomorrow, we're going to look at Ben Cleveland. And we're going to kind of get to the bottom of this. Who earned the left guard job? Who should be starting there? If it's Ben Powers, should you feel confident? That's the theme of this video. So before we jump into the film, I just want to say, Ben Powers took a lot of hate on Twitter during the preseason games. Some of it I get. I mean, he's been a frustrating guy. He's shown some potential, but he's also had a lot of downfalls. So today I'm really going to focus on, the run game versus the pass game because I think it's really clear. I don't think anyone has an issue with him as a run blocker, and we're going to see that in the film from the preseason where he's playing right guard. That he's a pretty good run blocker. Like there was never a serious issue there. But when we look at his pass protection and we look at that tonight, we do have issues. And that's kind of his case. I think if you want the better run blocker, you go with Ben Powers. I think if you want the better pass blocker, you go with Ben Cleveland. Anyway, I know some of you don't believe me, so we go to the film because the film don't lie. Let's get right into it.
Run plays, so we are looking at primarily Ben Powers at right guard. For the purposes of this video, I did not include his center snaps because I just don't think they're going to tell us a whole lot. He really struggled there, specifically with his hand placement after the snap. So it's just not going to be very accurate given how different it is playing center. So we're going to start with a power to the right play. So we're going to see down blocks from the right side of the line. Powers and Falele are going to work a deuce block. No, that last one. A deuce block here. So let's run it through and then we'll go back and take a look. Take that away. All right, we'll go through quick and then we'll come back slow and look at Powers. Okay. So let's focus in on Ben Powers. So Ben Powers is essentially trying to, on this deuce block, he wants to overtake the outside shoulder of 97. So he wants to aim at the purple. So that's his goal, is I want to get over here and Falele would then move into 45. So let's see how that goes and we'll run it through slow. So there they are. They've squeezed the double team. Falele's coming off. And then right here is really the key with Ben Powers and where I think he's had a lot of success as a run blocker this preseason. So I want you all to focus here in the purple circle. And why that's important is watch how he throws that hand up. So he's got his hand right up in 97's, right in his armpit. And you guys hear me talk about that all the time. I think it's really key. And then he is going to get his helmet eventually across right there. So he's working to gain that leverage. And he does end up on the ground here, but he ends up on the ground because Makari gets kind of bowled over, and you can see right here he's falling right into Makari's legs, or right into Ben Powers' legs. So he gets kind of jammed up there, and then it looks like it kind of falls on him from behind, plus the running back running into him. A lot kind of going on that kind of collapses him. But what I think Ben Powers does so well here is, again, he wants to overtake this shoulder. He's going to get his arm, or his outside hand, this hand, up in that armpit, and then he's going to overtake that leverage right there and work through it. So he's not necessarily driving him downfield, but he's creating leverage really well, and that's going to be one of the keys that we look at in this video in terms of what he's able to do in the run game. So on this next one, we're going to go inside zone left. Powers is going to work an ace block with Makari. So let's run it through and then we'll go back and break it down. So there's that, and Makari's going to get into second level. Okay. So on this one, we're going to see everybody take a left zone step. So basically like that. So the ace block is between a guard and a center on a combination block. So Makari's job here is to bang down on 90 and then climb into the mic. So that's what we see right here. Right there, and then he's off into the mic linebacker. So what does Powers need to do to be successful? Again, he needs to overtake leverage, this time on the opposite side. So he needs to get inside leverage on 90's right shoulder. And that is exactly what he does. So there they squeeze. And then you see right there, he's pushing through. So he doesn't get his head across, but he's able to, look where 90's feet are. So 90's feet start here. and he basically ends around right there. So he's getting about 1.5 yards of push on the overtake right there. And 90 does a really good job of anchoring, but he's still pushing him downfield a little bit. So I thought he overtook this block really well. I think when you look at what happened, the the guy to look at here is Tyree Phillips. So watch what happens. We'll run it through a little slow. 97 on Phillips. Ends up crossing his face. We also have a loss inside by Daniel Falele right here. So 95 and 97 really make this hard for a hole to open. Right there you see 95. Falele can't get to that inside shoulder right here. He's going to eat the gap. 97 is basically pushing Tyree Phillips back into the ball carrier, really takes away a lane. See, he kind of has to do a jump step around Phillips because he didn't get a drive, and Falele's man getting across. So I thought this was a good rep by Ben Powers. I mean, he overtakes the block. He's able to move him a couple of yards. If Falele gets that shoulder, if Tyree Phillips gets any sort of movement off the line of scrimmage, this might be a little bit more successful. But why this play failed is basically right there and right there. Move on to the next one. On this next zone, we're going to see split zone with inside zone footwork. So you're going to see Ricard cross the formation as the split zone blocker. Everyone else on the play is going to be taking a zone step right. So that, and then Ricard is coming across. That's the split zone. So, again, really good leverage creation by Powers. And then right here, he loses it, right? So when I first initially watched this play, if we go back to right here, I thought Phillips didn't, or I would have said Powers didn't maintain his block. So right here, there, sorry. You can see Powers loses man and he kind of swims over top of him. But let's go back and look how the rep started. So let's zero in on Powers. So Powers his job is to take that zone step right, and he wants to sit on this inside shoulder. So as he does, and I'll run it through slow, his head's immediately on the wrong side. You see his head cross his body, but then he gets it back here. And he did that with that inside hand, which we can't see overly well, but he has his inside hand right here locked in. So he gets that up in the armpit again. Up in the armpit, and he forces this defender to the outside part of his body. So as he does that, there, he's got him sealed. This is really good stuff from Ben Powers. He's got him sealed. That gap is open here. Again, who's losing this block? It's Tyree Phillips. Sorry to keep ragging on Phillips, but I mean, this is a pretty good gap right here. If I run it back just before he lost, McCary climbs to level 2 and seals. Powers is sealed here, but Phillips loses. And if he doesn't, I mean, Ricard's going to come through and bang down this guy. That's a pretty open gap. Actually, you know what? Let's put an arrow because that's where he'd be going. So, I mean, unfortunate. But then when Powers loses his leverage, why does it happen? It's because Phillips' face got crossed and he literally ran his man right there into Ben Powers. So as he does that, this defender basically sets a pick so that Powers guy can loop around. So really good example of why it's so important to do film study and understand the issue, because I think when you watch a play like that live, you see, oh my goodness, Ben Powers can't sustain a block. But then when you really break it down and see what happened, it becomes a bit more clear. So on this next one, we're going to see split zone again. And I think we're looking at more of the same good initial leverage creation by Ben Powers. Right there, he gets the bang from McCary. He turns his guy inside. This is a really good block. This should give us a little bit of hope for Ben Powers playing left guard and running more zones concepts. So he's going to set again on that inside shoulder, same as what we've been talking about. McCary is going to come and bang down with him and then climb up. And as he does that, we'll run it through slow. So there, Ben Powers, good initial leverage creation, pushes him with that inside hand. Again, it's his left hand, so on this side, up into the armpit. McCary bangs down, gives him some help, climbs into 25. Really good work by those two on the play side. And again, so we've got a pretty good crease here, right? Like, look at this lane. This lane should be open for Hill. But who loses his block? Watch Tyree Phillips. Let's put Phillips in a square. So I want you guys to watch Phillips and watch how he gets his face crossed. So he's taking that inside zone step right. He needs to overtake this outside shoulder. And he tries, and he just isn't able to get his man. Plus, when Juwan James comes downhill, he kind of pushes him into the gap where he's going. But this is also that play we looked at in the Nick Boyle breakdown. Phillips got no movement off the line of scrimmage, and you can see right here, because he didn't move forward, he gets a Nick Boyle's pass. So just an ugly rep from Tyree Phillips. Really why I thought that play failed. Next one, we're going to look at power right. We looked at this with the Nick Boyle video again, but I want to key in on powers because it's more of the same. Just really good creation of leverage and understanding where he needs to put his guy. So he's down blocking left, so he needs to push his guy inwards, as he does right there. I'm not going to go into Tyree Phillips and Jalen Moore because we already talked about it in the other video, but essentially what I need is powers to take that right hand, get it inside the armpit, and push his guy that way. And that is exactly what he does. See? Right there. See where his initial hand lands? You can't really see it, but you can see, watch right here when I run it through slow. Watch his hand basically do an uppercut. Right. Oh, sorry. Went too fast. There. Uppercut. He's inside. He's pushing him. Down block. Clear. And this is exactly, if Phillips pulls upwards, this is that view where you can see where the ball would be going. So, again, more good stuff from Ben Powers. So now that we're through his run blocks, I feel pretty confident in saying Ben Powers as a run blocker is going to give you above average production. I genuinely feel that. I think those plays really showcase what he does well, his leverage creation. He gets just enough drive. It's nothing flashy, but he gets his job done, and I think that's really what's important. And that goes back to the last couple of years. I don't think there's ever been an argument that he's not a good run blocker. But where he's struggled is what we're going to look at a little bit here, and that's with his pass sets. So what I want us to focus on, there's a couple of key themes here. He struggles when he has to get out in space. And so the way the Titans are aligned here is he's going to basically have to deal with the 4-eye tech, which is his man right here. And Falele has to kick step out to the wider defender. And they're doing it on both sides. This is pretty common. By them aligning outside the guards, it basically takes away the center's ability to give any sort of help. It really pressures the tackles because guards can't help the tackles in this, even with a slide. If they use a slide protection, it's going to be hard to get, far enough outside because you have to worry about the backside. So you could do a half line slide and everybody goes that way for sure. But he's honestly so wide that he would have to cut inwards for it to really make a difference because he's probably going to be pushing upfield. So just something to note that when we see the defensive alignment, we really should get worried if they're wide on Ben Powers, and that's what we're dealing with here. So run it through and then we'll go back and break it down. And see, he gets swam there, and the ball came out, so no pressure, but if that ball doesn't come immediately out. So he has to take 1, 2 kick steps, and actually his footwork's pretty clean right there. He's out, he's squared on him, but then when he reaches, he lunges. And I think he lunges a little bit too quickly. I would have been a little bit more patient, and I would have used a single outside hand punch here. But he kind of does a 2-hand strike, gets both hands up. He just loses all of his power. He's got no base of power here, and 95 simply swims him, moves up. So again, he's getting out in space there. So what does it look like when he doesn't have to deal with so much space? So here we're going to see him single block 97. I believe Falele is dropping for 99 here. So we're going to see him basically do a quick set. So watch this. Look how much different that looks. So once he gets his hands on him quicker, and you know it's a quick set because if you look at his foot, it takes basically a lateral step. And that's usually a sign of a quick set. So watch as his foot lands. See how it goes. His feet are basically even right now. It's slightly back like it should be, but it didn't go backwards like that, like we see on more of a vertical set from a guard. So he gets his hands up quick. He gets his hands inside. He's got, he's nice and low. He's got an anchor set. And one thing I will note, because I think it's important for future clips, is watch right here. He's got a good arch in his back. But as the play goes on, and the camera moves so we don't get to see it too clearly, but watch how he basically, right, he starts to get stood up. And this is a constant problem with Ben Powers. I've always said I think it's his core strength. I think he has a weak core, but you can see it right there. He's basically getting stood up. And then that leads to right here. Again, it's blurry. Sorry, it's because the camera was moving. He loses his balance. Like he's now in a position to just get driven back. And we're going to kind of see that come to fruition on this next one. Again, the ball's coming out so fast, doesn't really seem to matter. This happened a lot in the Cardinals game. They set their guys really wide. So on this one, I'm trying to drag the wrong time clip. There we go. So Ben Powers' man is going to be the 5 tech. Falele is going to have to kick for the 9 tech. So when we do that, so he's got a one-on-one block. And again, he actually sets really well on him, even though it's more outside. I thought he set extremely well on him. His footwork's much cleaner than it has been in the past. Hands up, hands inside. Really like how he did that. He gets that outside hand right up in here. Like this is a power position right here from a pass blocker. That's what you want to see. That's really solid. But watch how, as it goes on, and again the camera moves, but see how he's kind of getting walked back. That's a weak anchor. You can see him get stood up again. His back goes flat. His right there is where that's the problem. When his shoulders are going back behind his butt, that's where he runs into issues. So I think the problem's pretty clear in this one. It's kind of consistent. It's something that he hasn't been able to fix in 3 years, and I'm not sure it's going to get better. But this last one, I think everyone yelled at him for giving up a sack on Tyler Huntley here, so I want to kind of break it down. First of all, the Cardinals are going to run a little bit of a line game with these two. You're going to get a knife, I believe, from the edge player is going to take off that. The knife, he's going to knife down in, and then you're going to have a loop that Powers and Falele are going to have to work. So he comes in. So I thought they'd pass this off really well. I was pretty impressed with that. So Powers keeps really tight as he comes in. You can see his hand right here. That's his arm. Is able to get outside, and that helps him overtake leverage. And as Falele comes off him, like he has to, he gets a nice... He's got his hand inside here. And you guys remember when I talked about Linderbaum with the hold? He has him wrapped. This is technically a hold based on the definition of the rule, but it happens all the time. It's just the way the game's played. So I thought, again, you can see his head outside. He's got good... He's trying to maintain this pocket, right? So he's done that. He's got good leverage on the... he's got good inside leverage on his defender. And as Huntley scrambles up, he scrambles outside. So there's two things here. First of all, McCary ends up trying to go and play offensive tackle. He ends up over here outside of Falele. So watch that. He's all the way outside. See, he's chasing his guy. So that takes away Powers' inside help. Right here, he's got inside help. So maybe Powers still feels that's there, and McCary ran in front of him. Ben Powers isn't going to see that. But it's also Tyler Huntley needs to get this ball out or take off. Like, take a clear scramble lane and just take off. Powers, this is where it's so hard to block for a scrambling quarterback because Powers can't see where Huntley's going. So as the defender reads him, because he can see him, he just runs outside. So I don't credit anybody for a sack here. I don't even credit Huntley because his receivers aren't getting open. So, as much as people were upset with Powers, I just don't really see that play being on him.